Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Grover, for a very comprehensive overview and introduction to the topic of today. Of course, in India Energy Forum, we are so much concerned about the rapid progress of the nuclear capacity in the country that in the last 1.5 years or so, we have organized almost three or four such discussions. And one was even more comprehensive. That was in last November 21, when Dr. Kakodkar made a very detailed presentation and we had a very useful discussion. Besides organizing these discussions, we have also had the opportunity of working on what we discussed. If you recall, in the conference that we had, webinar that we had in November, I had particularly also requested NTPC chairman to have a brief discussion and brief intervention, which he did. And that was with the sole objective that whether organization like NTPC could also step in and take it as an agenda to pursue project development, to pursue development of nuclear power projects so that we get larger amount of capacity in the time frame that we have. This was also coming out of the concern that with the massive solar expansion that we are trying to do in the country of the order of 450, 500, 600, you name a figure, gigawatt, we do have a real challenge on how to manage the grid and how to manage and balance the loads when we have no solar radiation available in the evenings. And we assume that a reasonable battery backup is going to take some time. So what could be the other important solutions to this ambitious program, which is so important? And it is important because not that the government thinks it is important, because it is really important for climate change concerns, and it is important to balance our highly skewed energy profile in power in favor of coal-based power generation or gas-based power generation. And also in terms of other means of consumption of energy in the petroleum sector, where again we are using the fossil fuel. So it is important from that point of view as well to align ourselves to be in the forefront of having the challenge and addressing the challenges to take care of the climate issues, and at the same time also take care of the developmental needs of our country. So from that angle, our position has been very clear that we have to have the developmental needs also addressed, which would mean that India has to increase substantially its per capita consumption of energy, per capita consumption of electricity, which is 1/3 of the global average, and therefore provide access and provide modern way of industrial activities, modern way of living, modern way of education, modern way of healthcare. So both these dimensions have to be addressed. That we enhance energy production, we enhance energy consumption, and at the same time also address the issue of not being so fossil fuel centric power generation profile. And it is in that context that nuclear power assumes even greater relevance. Not that India did not give importance to nuclear power. India has been one of the few countries where even now we are one of the top 12 large nuclear power producer countries in the world. So if not top 10, perhaps top 12. We have a larger number of countries which produce nuclear power, but we are among the top dozen. And our country decided about nuclear power right in the mid 50s. I think in 1960, 62 or so, we had the Atomic Energy Act, and in the Atomic Energy Act, a rightful place was given to the nuclear power generation. Only thing is that whether we have been able to make use of this enabling provision in the Atomic Energy Act of 1962 fully, or we have a long way to go. So that those were the issues also we discussed in the past. There have been various situations. There was a time when country felt that we have enough uranium. There was a time when we ran short of fuel. At least when I was in the power ministries in the beginning of the century, and Dr. Kakotkar, I'm happy Dr. Kakotkar responded to my request. Only a few days back, we met together in Ahmedabad on a discussion, and I particularly requested him that if he could adjust his appointments to be available today also, and he has been kind. Anil Razdan also, I am told he has joined. So therefore, importance was given. A lot of importance has been given. The only thing is situations, the problems, the challenges, perhaps in the way of fuel. Then when we were together in 2003, 4, 5, 6 or so, we had the issue of nuclear supplier group agreement at the global level, the different type of doubts, different type of concerns globally, and therefore the process has been really slow. And of late, in the last 2 years, we have been discussing that why have we continued insofar as nuclear power, which is so important, which is carbon-free power. It is a good answer to climate change issues. It is a good answer now, particularly in the context of solar power expansion in such a big way in India. And why is it that this important ingredient of energy, insofar as power is concerned, has remained in the margin? Of course, wonderful work has been done on medical and other areas through our nuclear system. But then on the power side, I think we always were 2.5%, 2%, and now with massive expansion on the renewable as well as coal-based power generation, we are not even 2%, it is 1.8 or 1.9%. I think this issue has bothered us. So when we did this conference in November 21, and we did end with this conference, and now we will end with this conference, today's discussion as well. Behind the scene, we have been working. That conference also, we had requested the Secretary, Department of Atomic Energy, Mr. Vyas, Dr. Vyas, he joined, and Mr. Sharma, who was the chairman then. He was not to join, but I insisted he to join, and he was nice to have joined. And we had NTPC chairman. And the idea was that why is it that this important provision of the Atomic Energy Act, which enables government organizations to take up, and why is it that we have remained only with one nuclear power corporation? Institutionally, unless we strengthen our network of organizations, build up internal capability, allow, if not total opening of the sector, but partial opening of the sector, how do we get to the figure? When we are talking of 500 gigawatt, we are talking of 600 gigawatt. I mean, right now we should have been 10 lakh megawatt, not 4 lakh megawatt. 1200 kilowatt hour per head per year consumption in India. And I mean, as compared to, let's say, almost 4,000 kilowatt hour of China, and I'm not talking of the so-called Western world and very highly advanced countries. Why is it that we are remaining stuck up here? And then we come to this, that in that, this important ingredient of energy has remained somehow in the sideline. And has this sideline be really on account of something God-given, or could we have done something better, or could we now at least do something better? So therefore, behind the scene, we have talked, and I am very happy that there are some positive developments of discussions between NTPC, the Nuclear Power Group, with the Department of Atomic Energy, Ministry of Power, and it is taking some shape. Of course, it might take shape in a formal way in weeks and months, but then it is taking some shape. I would feel that if we have to really make up for the shortfalls that have got created, and it has declined from 2.53% to now 1.7, 1.8%, and it will decline further if we do not arrest it by proper proactive actions. Unless we do that, and in that capital market financing, more organizations, and maybe not now. If we gain confidence, even PPP, private sector, and may not be immediately, but immediately organizations like NTPC who have financial resources, who have project management capability, who can hire people of the knowledge and expertise and go over this and add to the basket of nuclear power generation capacities. And subsequently, maybe in next 4 or 5 years, we prepare the country's mindset that this is not something which is a black box, that it can remain stuck up in one institutional framework. Whole world, there are different types of organizations who are working for this. Of course, it is very important to have the right regulatory mechanism to see that necessary safeguards of security, safeguards of radiation, safeguards of environmental factors are taken into account. But one more important thing that we perhaps need to do at the national level, and all of us have, and we in India Energy Forum and such other think tanks can contribute toward that to create a mindset in the country in favor of nuclear power. While we should have done much larger capacity, and whatever we do, there again some protests, some resistance, some reservations, all sorts of demonstrations, and all sorts of negative publicity about nuclear power comes in. So therefore, a narrative has to be there, a narrative has to be propagated, to be disseminated, so that people do not have fear about this. I mean, of course, Fukushima did some problem, but then now we have to get back and do this. So my suggestion is A, financial thing, we should definitely access capital market. In one such discussions, that time the chairman was not there, none of the director of the Nuclear Power Corporation was there. And he said, we have been struggling for budgetary support. I said, after 30, 35 years of your existence, still if you are struggling for government budgetary support, and this organization, Nuclear Power Corporation, is making money, making profit, why don't you access capital market? Others have done, and that's not a problem. This is a viable, this is a commercially very acceptable and profit-making organization. So that is one. Project management capability has to see. Manufacturing capability within India, we have to work out. More organizations we should add to expand. And in not more than 5 years, I will humbly suggest that government should consider and should revisit that it should be opened up with sufficient, again, I'll come back again on this, when
Hello.
we have